In my past life, I didn't just bully her every day. I treated her like an absolute joke, but her feelings for me never changed. For my sake, she willingly ate nothing but plain buns for 10 years. Just for me, she stayed behind after school every single day, always the last to go home. And I only found out back then that she had been secretly protecting me for 10 whole years. Since you guarded me with your life in our past life, then in this life, it's my turn to protect you with mine. The very next moment, a frail-looking girl walked over. I knew it was Su Qingqing. Watching her silhouette get closer and closer, I wanted nothing more than to rush over and pull her into my arms. But I knew that would only terrify her. Growing up in extreme poverty, Su Qingqing's deep-rooted inferiority complex was practically carved into her bones. Any sudden attempts to get close would only trigger a panic response. I forced down my overwhelming emotions and took my seat. In this life, I swear I'll never let anyone bully her again. Su Qingqing slowly sat down at her desk, but when she noticed her pencil case, she instantly froze. The few worn-out pens she had left were completely smashed to pieces, scattered all over the desk. Su Qingqing didn't say a single word, because this wasn't the first time she was targeted by their cruel pranks. She just fought back her tears, and silently gathered the pieces back into her case. It looked like for her homework over the next couple of weeks. She'd be forced to write with those broken ink cartridges, but right at that moment, she suddenly noticed the massive scribbles glaring back at her from the desk. Ugly, cheap, freak, every single insult was like a razor blade, mercilessly slashing at her already fragile heart. At that exact moment, she finally couldn't hold it in anymore. Heavy tears started dripping relentlessly onto the desk. Seeing this, my face turned dangerously dark. In my past life, I had watched Wang Lei break Su Qingqing's pens with my own eyes, and cover her desk with those awful scribbles. But back then, I was no different from all the other heartless bystanders. But this time, I refused to let anyone bully her. I instantly shot up from my seat, marched straight to the back row, and blocked Wang Lei's path. Get over there and apologize to Su Qingqing. Why? Are you out of your mind? Why the hell should I apologize to her? Staring at Wang Lei's arrogant, punchable face, I couldn't even be bothered to waste my breath. Wang Lei's eyes widened in utter disbelief. Was this really the same polite and gentle Why from before? Terrified by my freezing glare, he completely chickened out. Clutching his bruised, red jaw, he shuffled over to Su Qingqing. I'm sorry, Su Qingqing. I did it. I know I messed up. Even after hearing the apology, Su Qingqing didn't respond at all. She just tightly covered her tear-stained eyes, desperately trying to hold on to whatever dignity she had left. The class bell rang, finally snapping everyone out of their absolute shock. As they hurried back to their seats, I turned my head to look at Su Qingqing. I noticed the heavy gloom in her eyes had cleared up just a little bit. It felt like things were finally heading in the right direction. But then it hit me. Not too long from now, the grandmother who raised Su Qingqing would suffer a sudden, drastic worsening of her illness. In my past life, because Su Qingqing couldn't afford the medical bills, her grandmother passed away tragically early, leaving an open wound in her heart that never healed. Looks like I need to figure out a way to make some serious money. My very first goal after being reborn is to make sure Su Qingqing's grandma makes a full recovery. School was soon over for the day. I glanced over at that familiar corner. Su Qingqing was still working hard, memorizing her English vocabulary. In the past, she would always stay late at school like this, walking home all alone in the dead of night. But in this life, she will never have to walk down that dark, lonely road all by herself again. I, will be right there by her side. I'll be the light that guides her all the way home. I walked over to her desk and gently tapped on it. Come on, let's head home together. It's getting late. It's not safe out there. I'll walk you home. And no, it's okay. I always go home late anyway. Su Qingqing nervously lowered her head. Seeing how reluctant she was, I immediately put on a hurt, sad face to coax her. When she saw my expression, and remembered how I stood up for her earlier this afternoon, she felt too bad to say no. So, she finally agreed to let me walk her. The October nights here in the Ice City were already getting pretty chilly. Su Qingqing quietly trailed along right behind me. Outside the school gates, the food stalls were already starting to pack up for the night. She stared at the steaming hot street food, and I could see her quietly swallow hard. Qinglan and Grandma would probably love these, she must have thought, as she nervously touched her wallet. She ended up just biting her lip in defeat, but her stomach betrayed her, letting out a loud, hungry rumble. Hearing that, I turned around and looked at her completely flustered face. I almost burst out laughing, but then, looking at how painfully frail and skinny she was, my heart just ached. Surviving her whole life on nothing but plain steamed buns and pickled veggies every single day, never knowing where her next meal would come from. I couldn't even begin to imagine how she managed to survive all these years. Well, looks like it's time to officially launch my feeding plan. I glanced over at the snack stall nearby. Perfect timing. I need to go grab something to eat. You just wait right here for me. Don't wander off, okay? Su Qingqin opened her mouth, but before she could even get a word out, I had already turned around and hurried off. Watching that mouth-watering food stall, Su Qingqin swallowed hard once again. She slowly pulled her little wallet from her pocket, but when she opened it, inside was just a single, crumpled 1 yuan bill. That was supposed to be her breakfast money for the next 2 days. 4 big, plain steamed buns for 1 yuan. If she rationed carefully, it would last her 2 days. Just as Su Qingqin stood there frozen, completely torn, suddenly, a hand patted her firmly on the shoulder. It was me, smiling warmly as I handed her a hot, fresh savory crepe. But to her, a delicious crepe like this was an absolute luxury. She just stared at it, far too scared to actually reach out and take it. So, I just gently pushed it right into her hands. Looking deep into her eyes, I said, I'm in a really great mood today, because I finally made a new friend. And her name is Su Qingqin. Hearing that, her head snapped up in shock. She looked right at me, a tiny spark of pure hope suddenly flashing in her eyes. Because starting today, she finally had the very first real friend in her entire life. Seeing how sweet and incredibly innocent she looked, I couldn't help but smile fondly. But instead of taking a bite right away, she forced herself to resist the mouth-watering smell, wanting to save it to bring home for her grandma and little sister. But I already knew she'd do exactly that. So, I proudly held up the 2 plastic bags in my right hand. Your sister's and grandma's portions are already taken care of, so hurry up and eat yours while it's hot. Let's hurry back, so your grandma and little sister can still have their janping while they're hot. Su Qingqin realized I had seen right through her, and she gave a shy little nod. She quickly finished her janping, and by then, we had arrived near her place. Looking at the surroundings, my heart sank. There were no streetlights, and the alleys were extremely narrow. The walls of the rundown houses were covered in cracks. Suddenly, it hit me. In my past life, the cracked ceiling in her house had collapsed, and the falling debris crushed her leg. And her grandma's illness, that was also caused by living in this dusty, dark, and damp environment for so long, making it incurable until she passed away. Thinking about this, I quietly clenched my fists. Looks like it's time to make a move on my dear old man. Couldn't put this off any longer. Just then, Su Qingqin suddenly stopped walking and turned to me. Mew, why? You can just drop me off here. It's getting really late. You should head home first. Oh, it's fine. It's on my way anyway. Let's keep going. Otherwise, those janping are gonna get cold. Hearing that, she just gave a reluctant nod. We kept walking. After passing a few more intersections, she stopped. With her head down, she pointed at a rundown house up ahead. That's my place right there. Mew, why? Do you want to come in for a bit? I looked at how nervous she was, and realized it really was getting pretty late. If I didn't head back soon, my folks would probably chew me out again. So, I shook my head. No, I'll pass this time. Maybe next time. Oh, by the way, I'm coming to pick you up tomorrow. Remember to wait for me right at your door. Got it? Not even giving her a chance to say no, I turned and dashed into the dark street. In the dim light, she just stood there, stunned. Just as she was wondering what to do about tomorrow, it suddenly hit her. I had just told her it was on my way, but I had actually run off in the exact opposite direction. In that moment, something seemed to click in her mind, and a soft blush crept across her cheeks. Meanwhile, I was already on the bus heading back, my mind racing. Kept thinking about how to make my move on my dad when I got home. Because I remembered back in 2008, he got stuck with a huge stockpile of inventory and eventually had to grit his teeth and sell it all at a heavy loss. But nobody expected the prices for those exact goods to absolutely skyrocket the very next day. The only problem was, what exactly were those goods? I honestly couldn't remember. Looks like I just have to go back and ask him myself. A short while later, I was standing in front of apartment 250 in the Niutitsi community. The clinking of my mom's spatula echoed from the kitchen, blending with the sound of my dad talking business on the phone in the living room. Everything was exactly like the home from my memories. I snapped back to reality. Mom, I'm home. Just then, Zeng Chong walked out carrying a plate of food. Mew, why are you home so late today? Go quickly and wash your hands. Dinner's almost ready. Later, at the dinner table, I cleared my throat a bit. Hey, Dad, I wanted to ask you something. How has business been going lately? Is everything running smoothly? What do you think you're doing, you little brat? How dare you question your old man's abilities? No. I just noticed that business has been a bit tough lately. So I'm just looking out for you. Your old man here has been a big shot in the business world for years. How could I possibly mess up now? Dad let out a confident snort. Just as I was wondering if my memory was playing tricks on me, Mom, who had just finished washing the dishes, walked into the living room and scolded. Mew, Deshawn, what are you showing off in front of our son for? Have you even managed to sell those 10 tons of rebar yet? Hearing the word rebar, my eyes instantly lit up. That's right, it was the rebar. In my past life, it was this exact batch of rebar that skyrocketed to its all-time highest price 3 days later. I excitedly grabbed my dad's hand. Dad, can you let me handle this batch of rebar? Let you handle it? You're just a snot-nosed high schooler. Instead of focusing on acing your college entrance exams, your head is full of this absolute nonsense. Keep dreaming. No way. Seeing that my dad was being as stubborn as a mule, I had no choice but to lean close to his ear. Aren't you afraid I'll tell Mom all about technician number 88? Hearing this, Dad's expression instantly turned to sheer panic. My dear, wonderful son, we can talk this over. It's just 10 tons of rebar, right? Take it. Take all of it. He then hurriedly transferred the ownership of the rebar over to me. Seeing this, I nodded in satisfaction, turned right around, and went back to my room to sleep, leaving my terrified dad standing there alone to calm his racing heart. Early the next morning, I changed into some clean clothes, grabbed 2 breakfasts, and hurried out the door. Meanwhile, over in the shantytown, Su Qingqing was standing outside her door in flimsy clothes. She craned her neck, looking all around, desperately trying to spot me. But the early morning streets of the slums were completely empty. She just stood there shivering in the bitter wind for over an hour. Yet, there was still no sign of me anywhere. Suddenly, a sad thought hit her. Was I just playing a cruel joke on her yesterday? Was I not going to show up at all? Honestly, if this were my past life, I probably would have done exactly that. I might have even mocked her later for reaching completely out of her league. But in this life, I promised to protect her. Just as Su Qingqing lost all hope and was about to walk away, I ran right up to her. Were you waiting for me, Su Qingqing? She noticed the beads of sweat on my forehead. Did you run all the way here? Deep down, she was absolutely overjoyed. She reached into her pocket, wanting to pull out a steamed bun for me to eat. But when she saw the hot milk and eggs in my hands, she hurriedly tried to hide the bun again. Su Qingqing, you were way too good to me. How did you know that steamed buns are my absolute favorite? Su Qingqing looked up at me in shock. I snatched the bun right out of her hand, and started stuffing huge bites into my mouth. Su Qingqing, where did you buy this bun? It's incredibly delicious. Oh, really? Then, can I bring one for you every day from now on? Looking into Su Qingqing's earnest, hopeful eyes, I guiltily gulped. Well, you should eat your breakfast first. The milk won't taste good if it gets cold. No, I don't need it. You already bought me that pancake yesterday. Su Qingqing, you really do despise me, don't you? And no, I'll eat it, okay? Saying that, she lowered her head and quickly started eating the egg. At the same time, her heart was filled with warmth. Right then, Su Qingqing kept her head down. While we're at school, let's not be seen together anymore. I'm afraid it'll ruin your reputation. After saying that, she rushed into the classroom. Looking at Su Qingqing's fading figure, I let out a soft sigh. Man, Su Qingqing has absolutely zero self-esteem right now. Seems like it's time to give her a makeover. I really need to help her build up her confidence. The school bell rang, since there was only 1 semester left until the college entrance exams. The atmosphere in the classroom was getting pretty intense. Looks like I really need to buckle down and study in this life, to make up for all the mistakes I made in my past life. With that thought, I opened my textbook. But suddenly, a wave of intense dizziness hit me. When I finally snapped out of it, I realized that every single high school subject was perfectly imprinted in my brain. Could this be the cheat skill I got from being reborn? Just thinking about it, I couldn't hold back my excitement. But since it's been over 10 years, I still need to do some practice tests to lock it all in. So, I grabbed my 10-year exam prep book and started grinding through the questions. Before I knew it, the final bell rang. I stood up and stretched my stiff muscles, slowly packing up my books, getting ready to take Su Qingqing out for a little surprise later. Suddenly, a tall, slender figure sat right in front of me. I looked up, shocked to see that it was actually the school beauty. What's up? Do you need something? Oh, nothing much. I just wanted to chat with you for a bit. Seeing the school beauty come looking for me, the guys in the class started whispering. Damn, as expected of our boy Mew Y. He's just that awesome. Even the school beauty comes over to hit on him. Su Qingqing, who was quietly packing her bag, heard this and immediately whipped her head around. She stared at the school beauty's gorgeous clothes and perfect figure, then looked down at her own messy hair and her faded, worn-out school uniform. A sudden wave of inadequacy washed over her. She felt like she wasn't good enough for me at all. With a heavy sigh, she quietly grabbed her bag, planning to slip out the back door. But suddenly, I stepped right in front of her. What are you sighing for? Come on, let's go. Let's head home. Su Qingqing looked up and realized it was me. The gloom in her eyes instantly vanished. But then, remembering how I was just chatting with the school beauty, her deep sense of insecurity came rushing back. We shouldn't walk home together anymore. Mew Y, I can just walk home by myself. Hearing that, I was completely caught off guard. I looked down at the top of her head and noticed that her usually dry, messy hair actually looked like it had been carefully brushed today. Seeing that, everything instantly clicked. She was feeling insecure about her looks, which is why she was making excuses to avoid walking home with me. Without another word, I grabbed her sleeve and confidently pulled her toward the school gates. Su Qingqing jumped, her body trembling slightly. Having no idea where I was taking her, she just let me lead her all the way out of the school. Finally, she couldn't hold it in anymore. Why? I'll go with you, just, please don't pull me so hard, okay? Chuckled, reaching out to gently flick her on the forehead. Su Qingqing pouted and lowered her head as I said softly, be a good girl. I'm taking you somewhere special. After that, she just quietly and obediently followed right behind me. I led her all the way to Ice City's busiest pedestrian street. Under the lush, green sycamore trees, the shops were brightly lit, with thousands of people strolling around and enjoying the evening. Su Qingqing had never been here before, looking around nervously. Then, I pulled her right into a hair salon. She looked around blankly at the fancy decor, and the beautiful, flowing hair of the women in the shop. Subconsciously, she tried to hide her own dry, yellowish hair behind her back. Feeling completely out of place, she just wanted to run away immediately. Why? I think I should just go home and cut it. I've always cut it at home. Saying that, she bolted toward the door. I quickly stepped in front to stop her, and firmly pressed her down into the salon chair. Be good, just get the haircut. If you don't listen to me, then from now on, I'm just going to hook up with the school beauty. Hearing me threaten to find the school beauty, she immediately panicked, tears welling up in her eyes. I'll cut it, I'll do it, okay? Accompanied by the snip-snip of the scissors, strands of hair began to fall. She kept her eyes squeezed shut the whole time, too scared to look at herself in the mirror. She just prayed she'd look a little prettier once it was done. Quite a while later, sitting there on the salon sofa, I was practically dozing off. Why? I looked up, and my eyes instantly froze. The once dry, yellowish hair now cascaded smoothly over her shoulders. Her bangs had been thinned out, revealing a pair of breathtakingly gorgeous eyes. A Su Qingqing like this had never even existed in my past life. Stared at for so long. A deep blush crept across her cheeks. Does it look good? I broke into a warm smile. Su Qingqing, let me tell you, the luckiest thing to ever happen in my life is getting to witness your beauty right now, with my very own eyes. Hearing those words, her eyes went wide, and she stood frozen on the spot. This was the absolute first time anyone had ever validated her like that. Her face instantly burned completely hot. Then, she turned around and pulled a worn-out little wallet from her backpack. Inside lay 2 crumpled $10 bills. This was her lunch money for 2 whole weeks. If she scrimped and saved, it was barely enough to keep her fed. In her mind, a haircut in the slums cost $2.50. So, in a fancy shop like this, $20 should be more than enough. Even though it was incredibly expensive, just having the privilege of standing by my side made it all worth it to her. Just as she was about to go pay the bill, I held her back and told her this was my cousin's shop, so it was completely free. With that, I quickly pulled her out the door. But right before leaving, when Su Qingqing wasn't looking, I secretly slipped $200 to the owner. Pulled outside by me, she looked completely confused. Even if she's your relative, we still have to pay. I only have these $20 right now. I don't know if it's enough. If it's not enough, I can pay you the rest next time. Hearing her say that, I let out a soft sigh. Seems like this Su Qingqing really wasn't that easy to fool. But this money was also her absolute last shred of dignity. I had to come up with a good excuse. Seeing my prolonged silence, Su Qingqing thought I was disgusted by her dirty money. She gripped her hands nervously. This money isn't dirty. It just looks a little old. The moment those words left her mouth, her heart suddenly sank, feeling as heavy as lead. Why was being so incredibly sweet to her, bringing her to such a nice place to get her haircut. Yet she couldn't even scrape together a single clean bill. Suddenly, I raised my finger and gently flicked Su Qingqing on the forehead again. She grabbed her forehead, looking all pouty and wronged. Su Qingqing, I told you I don't want your money. And I meant it. But, well, I can't just let you get all dolled up for free, right? It just so happens I need a tutor. From now on, you're going to come over every weekend and help me study. Got it? Hearing this, Su Qingqing instantly looked up, feeling a bit relieved that her grades were actually at the top of the class. At least she had the ability to tutor me. At the very least, she wouldn't feel so completely useless around me. A sudden, unprecedented wave of joy and satisfaction filled her heart. After that, the two of us walked home side by side. This time around, I didn't turn down Su Qingqing's invitation either. I stepped inside her house as a guest. By the dim, flickering light, I could see the walls were covered in moss and deep cracks. A freezing dampness seeped right through those crevices. No wonder she got crushed and injured in her own home in my past life. This place was a total hazard. Looks like it's time to check the current market price of that rebar. I have to find a way to get Su Qingqin out of this place. Just then, an elderly woman walked out, holding a little girl by the hand. Su Qingqin quickly rushed over to help her. These were the only 2 family members she had left in the world. Su Qingqin looked at me nervously. "Grandma, this is my classmate, Mu Y." Grandma Chen glanced at Su Qingqin's beautiful new haircut, then noticed her blushing cheeks. She instantly caught on to what was happening. "Young man, you haven't eaten yet, right? Come on in and have a seat. Let Qingqin cook you up something to eat." After running around all evening, I was actually starving. So I nodded and gladly accepted. Once inside, Grandma Chen suddenly grabbed my hand. "Young man, thank you so much for taking such good care of my Qingqin. I'm just an old woman, I won't meddle in you young folks' business. I just hope that you'll always treat her well." Hearing this, I nodded firmly. "Grandma, please don't worry. I promise I will protect her for the rest of my life." Grandma Chen gave a warm, relieved smile. She then sat by the windowsill, closing her eyes as if she had drifted off to sleep. Looking at Grandma Chen's pale, fading complexion, I knew she could probably sense that her days were numbered. Seeing how sincerely I treated Su Qingqin every day must have been why she said those things to me just now. After all, my Qingqin was so innocent and naive, she really needed someone to look after her. With that thought, I made a silent vow to myself. I really needed to hustle and make that money right now. Su Qingqin needed a new house, and Grandma Chen's medical treatments couldn't be delayed any longer. All of this was going to cost a massive amount of cash. So, right after finishing dinner, I rushed straight back home. I needed to see exactly how much the price of rebar had spiked. Just as I was pulling up to the Oxhoof neighborhood, I suddenly got a text from one of my dad's guys. It turned out that in just 24 hours, the price of that batch of rebar had skyrocketed to an all-time high. It was even dozens of bucks higher than it had been in my past life. I didn't hesitate for a second. I immediately gave the order to sell off the entire stockpile. Even though I wasn't sure if the price would climb even higher over the next few days, I didn't want to risk any surprises. I chose to cash out while I was ahead. This single move netted me a sweet profit of 100 grand. That might be a fortune for a regular high school kid, but for me, it still wasn't anywhere near enough. A few minutes later, I got back home. The moment Dad saw me, he rushed over, looking super worked up. "Son, where's the rebar I gave you? I just checked the warehouse. Why is it all gone?" Seeing how frantic he was, I knew he must have heard the news about rebar prices skyrocketing. But I had already sold off the entire batch. "Dad, didn't we have a deal? That batch of rebar was mine to handle. Why are you asking so many questions?" Hearing this, Dad instantly blew his top. "No matter what, I'm still your old man. Can't I even ask? You better hand over that rebar right now. Or else I'm gonna beat the crap out of you." I looked up at him. Seeing that he was genuinely fuming, I decided to stop keeping him in the dark. "I sold it for you. And I sold it at the absolute peak price." "What? You sold it? At the peak price? How did you time it so perfectly, you little rascal? Could my son actually be a business genius?" At that thought, Dad took a deep breath, his eyes brimming with pride. "Good, that's my boy. You've got your old man's flair from back in the day. Next time I'm free, I'll take you to the Platinum Club to have some fun." I nearly choked when I heard that. "Forget it. Your son is the ultimate hopeless romantic of Ice City. You better keep that spot for yourself." With that, I walked back to my room. Lying on my bed, I kept racking my brain on how to make even more cash. I couldn't rely on Dad's resources anymore. I scammed him once, and he already wanted to take me to a place like that. If I played him a few more times, he'd probably just end up taking us both down. I let out a helpless sigh. I stood up and walked over to my desk. Suddenly, 2 words popped into my head. Stocks. That's right, the stock market. If we're talking about making quick money, nothing beats trading stocks. Ever since my rebirth, my memory has become insanely sharp. Even the tiniest details from 10 years ago, as long as I focus, are completely etched into my brain. So, I quickly checked this year's stock market trends. Relying on my memory, I locked onto a massive bull stock from 2008. If I remember correctly, within a month, this stock is going to hit its absolute peak. Selling it then would rake in over 400 grand. Although that's already a crazy fast way to make money. For me, making anything less than 7 figures just isn't going to cut it. So, I decided to pull out all my cash and use leverage. As long as I cash out at the perfect time, all my profits will be multiplied by 5. Once I had the plan laid out, I suddenly remembered that Su Qingqin was coming over tomorrow to tutor me. So, I walked out of my room to tell my mom, asking her to prepare something tasty for tomorrow. When Mom heard that my top student classmate was coming over to help me study, she couldn't hide the huge smile on her face. "What does your classmate like to eat? I'll go get everything ready." I pictured the adorable look in Su Qingqin's eyes whenever she saw meat. "She loves meat. Just make sure to cook extra meat." Mom smiled and nodded, thinking to herself, he's in high school and still so obsessed with meat. This top student of his must be a chubby little kid. Just as I finished talking and was about to head back to my room, it suddenly hit me that Su Qingqing didn't have a phone yet. If we could text each other before bed, wouldn't our relationship grow so much faster? So, I asked Mom where she kept her old phone. Without a second thought, Mom handed me her old XLT. Grabbing the phone, I happily went back to my room to sleep. But right at that moment, Mom suddenly realized something. I had never brought a classmate home before. Plus, I already had a phone. Was I planning to give this one away? And lately, I had been packing double portions for breakfast. All at once, it dawned on her. She rushed into the bedroom. Old Mew, this is bad. Our boy is dating someone. And it sounds like she's a chubby little girl. Early the next morning, I was up at the crack of dawn. I made my way to Su Qingqing's house. Meanwhile, back at my place, my parents were a nervous wreck. Ever since they guessed I had a girlfriend last night, and a chubby one at that. Mom had been worrying herself to tears. Thinking back, she was the beauty queen of her college. And her son was practically a young Eddie Peng. How on earth did he end up falling for a chubby girl? Dad just awkwardly chuckled beside her, telling his wife not to overthink it. With the emotional intelligence he inherited from me, our son is practically an absolute master of romance. How could his taste be bad? Seeing Dad bragging again, Mom couldn't resist smacking. The moment the door opened, Mom craned her neck and stared right at Su Qingqing. Su Qingqing was already nervous, so this completely startled her. Just as she looked up, completely at a loss, Mom suddenly froze. Looking at Su Qingqing's big, watery eyes and her exquisitely delicate features, combined with her bewildered expression right then, it completely melted Mom's heart. She excitedly grabbed Su Qingqing's hand. "Oh, sweetie, what's your name?" Su Qingqing jumped a little at the sudden warmth. She slipped and bumped right into the doorframe. Seeing this, Mom rushed over to help her, but Su Qingqing waved her hands. No, that's okay. Auntie, my clothes are dirty." Mom's heart immediately ached hearing this. So what if they're dirty? Oh, my poor sweet girl. It's all my fault. I must have scared you, right? After saying that, she turned and glared daggers at me. You have zero common sense. Can't you see my sweet girl hurt herself? Hurry up and get the first aid kit. My mouth twitched the moment I heard that, and I couldn't help but sigh. She really forgets her own son the second she gets a daughter-in-law. After applying the antiseptic to Su Qingqing, Mom quickly pulled her over to sit at the dining table. My sweet girl, knowing you were coming, I made sure to cook all your favorites. Looking at the table packed with an absolute feast, Su Qingqing was totally mesmerized. Growing up, she had only ever survived on plain steamed buns and pickled veggies. He had never seen such a massive feast before and just froze on the spot, completely stunned. He looked up at me helplessly. Mew, why? Maybe I should just come back next time. I knew my mom's reaction just now had left Su Qingqing completely overwhelmed. It was hard for her to adapt so quickly, but Su Qingqing knew she couldn't say no anymore. So, she picked up her bowl with both hands and started taking tiny, careful bites of rice. For someone who only had rice once a year, this bowl of plain rice was a total luxury. Without realizing it, she couldn't hold back and scarfed down the whole bowl dry. Seeing this, my mom's heart ached. This poor girl is eating plain white rice with such joy. How badly has she been eating normally? Saying that, she slapped my hand hard. Eat, eat, eat. All you do is eat. Can't you see my precious girl is so skinny? Then she pushed the braised pork right in front of Su Qingqing. I stared blankly at my raised chopsticks, the corner of my mouth twitching. I was totally speechless. I mean, Mom, who is your actual biological kid here? Talk about playing favorites. After dinner, I brought Su Qingqing into my room, getting ready to start our tutoring session. But right at the door, Su Qingqing froze in her tracks, staring at the perfectly tidy room. A brand new desk and the latest computer. This was the first time she had ever seen things like this. Struggling with an inferiority complex since childhood, she couldn't help but lower her head, stopping dead at the doorway. Seeing how tense and awkward she was, I gently patted her head. Su Qingqing, why are you always spacing out? This is my room, not some strangers. What are you so afraid of? Saying that, I pulled her right inside. I sat down at my desk, flipping through my college entrance exam prep books. Even though I had a photographic memory now, I had only been reborn for 2 or 3 days. Brain-draining subjects like math and literature still needed a really good review. Conveniently enough, math was exactly what Su Qingqing was best at. In her past life, she was the chief engineer of a top-tier tech company. Thinking of this, I turned my head to look at her, only to find her rubbing her stomach, looking like she was in a lot of pain. Seeing that I'd caught on to her distress, her face flushed red with embarrassment. I think I ate too much just now. My stomach hurts a little bit. Could I get some hot water? Is that okay? Looking at her adorably awkward face, I stood straight up. Let's go, Su Qingqing. I'll take you. The water dispenser is out in the kitchen. By now, Su Qingqing's face was burning red. She reached out her little hand and nervously tugged on my sleeve. No, it's fine. I can go by myself. Saying that, she gently held her stomach and walked out of the room. Out in the kitchen, Su Qingqing searched for a long time but couldn't find a classic thermos. Turning around, she finally spotted a tall white machine sitting in the corner. It had a whole bunch of buttons on it. Then it suddenly dawned on her. That must be the water dispenser I was talking about. Staring at the mess of colorful buttons, Su Qingqing started to panic. This was the absolute first time she had ever seen a water dispenser like this. In her memory, getting a drink of water at home always meant pouring it from a metal thermos. Something covered in buttons like this? She hadn't even seen one in pictures. After hesitating for a moment, she thought about coming to ask me for help. But she didn't know how to say it. How could she admit that she didn't even know how to use a water dispenser? Thinking about how she couldn't even do something as simple as getting a glass of water, Su Qingqing decided to try it herself anyway. She didn't want to seem that useless in my eyes. Taking a deep breath, she pressed the red hot water button. As the steaming water flowed out, a hint of joy instantly appeared on her face. She thought to herself that with a little effort, she could actually do it. But just as she finished filling the cup and tried to stop it, hot water simply wouldn't stop pouring. For a moment, she panicked, completely flustered. She had no idea what to do. Soon enough, the water overflowed from the dispenser, dripping all over the kitchen floor. Su Qingqing froze right there, her small hands clenched tightly together. Her beautiful eyes teared up from pure anxiety, her heart full of self-blame. She was terrified that I would hate her for this. Just then, I walked into the kitchen. Seeing Su Qingqing in such a messy state, I called out, "Qingqing, you have to press the stop button, or else how is the water going to stop?" Su Qingqing looked up and saw me casually turn off the water dispenser, tears shining in her eyes. "Mahai, I'm so sorry, I really didn't mean to." I looked at her tightly clenched hands, and her trembling little body, knowing she felt absolutely terrible about it. So I gently patted her head and smiled warmly. What's there to be sorry about? The first time I used it, I got water everywhere too. It's totally fine. Be a good girl now, hurry up and drink your hot water. Watching my gentle demeanor, the uncomfortable feeling inside her instantly faded away. Right now, she just wanted to do her absolute best to tutor me. This was the only thing she felt she was good at, and her only way of repaying me. The two of us quickly went back to the room, pulled out a mountain of math test papers and started studying. But after studying for just a little while, Su Qingqing felt that something was off. Because she had just specifically picked the hardest questions from all the papers to explain, but I told her I already understood them all. Seeing her stare at me in complete confusion, I awkwardly scratched my head. It really was strange. After my rebirth, seemed like not only had my memory improved, but my logical thinking skills had also leveled up a lot. For those so-called final boss questions, it was as if I could effortlessly see the answers right behind them. Su Qingqing still didn't quite believe it, so she asked me to independently solve another extremely difficult question. Seeing it, I just smiled softly. In the very next second, I directly wrote down every single step of the solution. And I even used advanced college mathematics. Seeing this, Su Qingqing was completely dumbfounded. She couldn't speak for a moment. I looked up at her affectionately. "How did I do, Miss Su?" Hearing me call her Miss Su made her pretty face blush bright red. She clearly felt like she hadn't even started teaching me anything, yet Mahai already knew how to do it all himself. Watching me continue to bury my head into solving hard problems, a flash of worry crossed her eyes. With my current learning ability, I would probably catch up to her level very soon. Then, she wouldn't have any useful skills left to show off in front of me. She couldn't help but feel a bit down. Right at that moment, she suddenly noticed that the blanket and pillows on my bed weren't folded. Since she couldn't teach me how to study anymore, she decided to do whatever else she could to help. A little while later, I finished the math problems. I turned around, only to find that my originally messy bedsheets had been folded perfectly neatly. I knew Su Qingqing must have done this, because she was exactly the same in our past life. Always warming my heart with these little gestures. For a moment, I looked at her with eyes full of tenderness and nostalgia. Seeing me just staring at her, she thought I was upset because she touched my things without asking. So she lowered her head. I'm sorry, I saw you were learning so fast, and felt like I couldn't really help you with anything. So when I saw your bed wasn't made, I just folded your blanket for you. Please don't be mad, okay? Just as she braced herself for my anger, I simply gave a gentle smile. Su Qingqing, what are you apologizing for? Thanks to you making my bed, my mom won't yell at me again. Really? Then I'll always make your bed for you from now on. I can always study with you too, as long as you need me. As soon as the words left her mouth, Su Qingqing realized how that sounded. What am I saying? Always making new wise bed? Always staying by his side? That's way too embarrassing, seeing the atmosphere growing romantic. I wanted to take this chance to get closer to her, but suddenly there was a knock at the door. I opened it to find my mom. Looking at Su Qingqing's blushing cheeks, Mom instantly understood what was going on. She looked at her warmly. "Sweetie, it's past 6 o'clock. Don't leave yet. Stay and have dinner with us." "It's past 6? Hearing this, Su Qingqing stood up in a panic. She hadn't realized time flew by so fast with me, but her grandma and little sister were still waiting for her to cook at home. So she quickly said her goodbyes and headed out the door. Worried about her safety, I followed right behind her. Along the way, Su Qingqing walked quietly beside me. Recalling what just happened in my room, her face still felt hot. It wasn't until we reached the bus stop that she gathered her courage. "Why, about earlier. Please don't misunderstand. What I meant was, if you need me, I'll stay by your side forever." "Ah, no, wait." She just wanted to clear things up, but only made it worse. Looking at my face, she blushed even harder. I knew this was Su Qingqing's first time dealing with feelings like this. Her innocent, clueless nature left her completely lost for words. If I brought our romantic tension out into the open right now, she probably wouldn't be able to handle it and might even start avoiding me. So I chose to play dumb, pretending I didn't hear what she just said. "Stay by my side forever." Seeing my clueless expression, she visibly sighed in relief. Soon after, as Su Qingqing got on her bus home, I suddenly remembered. I still hadn't given her the phone I got from my mom yesterday. So I quickly ran after the bus, tossed the phone through the window, and then headed back home. I sat at my desk and did math problems for a while until it was past 10 o'clock at night. I was so exhausted I could barely keep my eyes open, so I just crashed on the bed and fell right asleep. But right at that moment, my phone suddenly started ringing. When I saw Su Qingqing's name on the screen, I instantly perked right back up. I hit the answer button. "Hey, it's Why, I know." That was all she said, followed by a really long silence. Then, her voice finally came through the speaker again. Why, good night." Hearing that, I couldn't help but smile. I guess this is just what young, innocent love feels like. Just a simple, sweet good night, carrying 1,000 things we both wanted to say. Then, I softly wished her a good night too, and drifted off to a peaceful sleep. Bright and early the next morning, I walked to school with Su Qingqing just like always. But before we even stepped through the gates, a bunch of guys suddenly swarmed us. Their jaws were totally dropped, staring at us in absolute shock. That's when my best bro Lin pushed his way to the front. "Holy crap, why, man, who is this absolute hottie standing next to you? You actually went and got yourself a girlfriend behind our backs? Damn it, weren't we supposed to be single bros for life?" Hearing that, I just cracked a smile. I had no idea the little makeover I gave Su Qingqing over the past 2 days would make such a huge difference. She literally went from an ugly duckling to the brand new queen bee of the school. But to protect her fragile little ego, I didn't actually admit that to the guys. Instead, I just laughed it off. This gorgeous girl right here is Su Qingqing, guys. She literally just changed her hairstyle, and you thirsty dogs can't even recognize her anymore. All you guys ever think about is cute faces and long legs and stockings. After I called them out like that, the guys finally took a closer look and realized it really was her. Feeling every single pair of eyes glued to her, Su Qingqing instantly turned bright red from embarrassment. She ducked her head and practically sprinted all the way back to the classroom. Sitting at her desk, she thought back to how the guys had just called her pretty. And a warm, happy feeling bubbled up inside her. Now that she looked like this, surely no one would think she looked out of place standing right next to me anymore, right? A little later, I strolled into the classroom and plopped down in my seat. Seeing me, Su Qingqing quickly dug into her backpack and pulled out a small jar of spicy kimchi. It was something she stayed up super late making the night before. Just so she wouldn't wake her family up, she actually snuck out to the pitch-black balcony all by herself to prep it. Even though it was just a cheap jar of kimchi, it was packed to the brim with all her love for me. She felt pretty confident in her cooking skills, knowing I'd totally love it. So, she stood up, getting ready to walk over to my desk. But right at that exact moment, her entire body just froze. She quietly hid the jar of kimchi behind her back, because out of nowhere, the class English representative stepped right up to me and dropped a massive bag of fancy chocolates right onto my desk. And well, I didn't say no, I just smiled and took them. Seeing this, a few of the guys nearby started chiming in, totally hyping it up. "Oh man, where's our share of the goodies? Dude, what are you even thinking? Chocolates are obviously only for boyfriends." The guys fed off each other with teasing, wicked grins, making the English representative blush bright red before she got completely flustered and ran right out of the room. Watching all of this unfold, Su Qingqing was suddenly hit with this crushing sense of feeling so cheap and unworthy. Other girls were gifting the guy they liked fancy chocolates, while how could she ever show her face with a sad little jar of kimchi? She didn't even know what chocolate tasted like. The thought of it broke her heart. She let out a quiet, defeated sigh, and just shoved the jar of kimchi deep into her desk drawer. I walked over to her side, smiled, and pressed a big handful of chocolates right into her hands. Su Qingqing just stared blankly at the chocolates in her hands. For a moment, she had absolutely no idea what to say. Right then, I just unwrapped one and popped it straight into her mouth before she could even protest. With a soft little gulp, Su Qingqing swallowed the chocolate, and instantly felt her mood lift completely. He's actually giving me the chocolates the English representative gave him? Then, what happened earlier definitely wasn't what I thought it was, right? Still, she just couldn't work up the courage to take out that jar of spicy cabbage hidden inside her desk. She tried to hide it quietly with her little hands, but I saw right through her the very next second. I pointed at her little hands with a teasing smile. Su Qingqing, you hiding something from me? Because I totally just saw that. Come on, hand it over. Hearing me say that, Su Qingqing lowered her head, looking completely embarrassed as she slowly pulled out the spicy cabbage. Because her family was really struggling with money, the jar holding the spicy cabbage was just an old, reused one. She kept thinking about how well off my family was, and worried sick that I'd be completely grossed out by it. But right then, I just popped the jar open and took a big whiff. Whoa, Su Qingqing, how did you know this is my absolute favorite? Did you make this just for me? Oh my gosh, you are way too sweet to me. Really? Su Qingqing suddenly shot her head up. A flash of pure joy sparkled in her beautiful, peach blossom eyes, especially when she heard me say, "You are way too sweet to me." In that moment, she suddenly felt her confidence soar. Seeing how incredibly happy she looked, I gave her a very serious nod. Of course it is. Then, I reached right in with my bare hands, grabbed a piece of the spicy cabbage, and tossed it into my mouth. With a loud, satisfying crunch, a blast of fiery, burning chili oil shot straight to my brain. I instantly choked, my entire face turning bright red as I desperately fought back my tears. Wow, this is so good. Really? Then, I'll keep making it for you from now on. Hearing that, cold sweat instantly started pouring down my face, but I still managed a gentle nod to say yes. Seeing me agree, Su Qingqing's face just completely lit up with absolute joy. Ever since I burst into her life, her mind had been completely and utterly filled with thoughts of me. She stared at me with these huge, expectant eyes, hoping I'd eat just a little bit more of her spicy cabbage. Realizing she wasn't going to stop staring at me, I glanced down at that violently red chili oil in the jar. And couldn't help but gulp. I thought to myself, man, if I take another bite of this, it's gonna straight up kill me. But when I turned my head, I spotted Lin, along with a few other gossipy guys, all staring over here with incredibly curious looks on their faces. Instantly, an idea popped into my head. In my past life, Su Qingqing was totally isolated. Nobody in the class ever really accepted her. But this time, I could use this perfect chance to help her fit right in. So, I immediately waved my hand at the guys in the back row. Hey, come here. Lin, come over here and taste this amazing food Qingqing made. The second I said that, the guys in the back row couldn't sit still anymore. For one, that jar of spicy cabbage actually looked incredibly tempting. But mostly, none of them had realized that Su Qingqing was secretly totally gorgeous. Seeing such a pretty girl, naturally, none of them wanted to miss the chance to hype her up. Before long, almost all the guys in the class had crowded around our desk. Every single one of them was fighting for a bite of the spicy cabbage from the jar. Seeing this, the usually timid and insecure Su Qingqing actually started to relax and get used to the attention. All because of one little jar of spicy cabbage. For the very first time in her life, she felt what it was like to be truly accepted by everyone. Just then, Lin's voice rang out from the crowd. Man, this spicy cabbage is absolutely amazing. I had no idea you were such a great cook, Qingqing. Not only are you incredibly pretty, but you're super talented too. Y really lucked out. Su Qingqing, standing to the side, shyly lowered her head. Her cheeks were like a boiling kettle, turning completely red in an instant. Does this mean the class has accepted us? Then from now on, when I'm with Y, do I not have to worry about being seen anymore? Morning reading period was about to start. The other students had all gone back to their seats, but I grabbed a bottle of eye drops and walked right up to Su Qingqing. Actually, on the way to school this morning, I noticed her eyes were pretty red, but I didn't think much of it at the time. Later, when I saw that jar of kimchi, I realized the chili oil had stung her eyes. Be a good girl. Time for your eye drops. I looked at her with such tenderness. When Su Qingqing heard me call her a good girl, her cheeks immediately flushed. She never expected me to care so much about her eyes. Looking at her shy little face, I suddenly spoke up in a bossy tone. Hurry up and look up. Do you not want your eyes anymore? Su Qingqing felt a little hurt after I scolded her. But before she could even react, I just reached out and lifted her chin with one finger. Just like that, our eyes locked. The cool eye drops dripped down her eyelids. Squinting slightly, Su Qingqing looked at my face, feeling that mix of bossiness and pure tenderness. Only then did she realize that, without even noticing, my silhouette was constantly floating in her mind. After putting the drops in, I gently flicked her forehead. "You really are a little fool." Su Qingqing covered her forehead, feeling so wronged. "I'm not a fool." "Not a fool? You managed to get chili in your eyes just making kimchi." Then, I set the eye drops down on her desk, and turned back to my seat. For the very first time, in that chilly winter classroom, Su Qingqing didn't feel cold at all. Thinking about the moment our eyes locked just now, a deep blush spread across her face again. Right then, our homeroom teacher, Li Na, suddenly walked in. Seeing me rush back from Su Qingqing's seat and looking at her deeply flushed cheeks, she couldn't help but feel a tiny bit suspicious, but quickly shook it off. She couldn't believe I'd actually be dating Su Qingqing. Besides, as long as it didn't mess with our grades, she had absolutely zero interest in interfering. Then, she stood at the podium and looked out at the whole class. Following the school leader's decision, we are now holding a 4-school joint exam. Everyone, clear out the classroom immediately. Get it ready as an exam room. The moment the words left her mouth, the classroom absolutely exploded. So many people started panicking, complaining that this exam was way too sudden. But I wasn't panicked at all. Relying on my perfect memory, I had already recalled the main questions for this test. When the time came, I just needed to quickly review, and it'd be an absolute breeze. About 10 minutes later, the desks were completely rearranged. Su Qingqing was placed in the very last row, which was quite far from me. She just sat there blankly in her seat, watching the kids around her groaning and sighing, and then she hesitantly looked over in my direction. Y probably needs some encouragement right now too, right? Then, without even thinking, she stood up. But the second she took a step, she realized I was already completely surrounded by a bunch of girls. Everyone was talking, laughing, and just chatting so happily. Seeing this, a flicker of deep disappointment flashed in her eyes. She lowered her head to go over her study notes, while the image of me laughing and joking around with other girls just kept flashing through her mind. Just then, a large hand suddenly gave her forehead a gentle flick. She looked up with a wronged expression, only to find that at some point, I had already sat down right in front of her. Looking at my handsome face, her previously shattered courage instantly gathered back together. Y, you can do it. Looking at Su Qingqing's cute face cheering me on, I froze for a second. I didn't expect Su Qingqing to be so brave this time. I casually stroked her soft hair. You have to do your best too, okay? If we both get good grades, maybe we can sit together. Hearing that we could share a desk, a flash of pleasant surprise lit up Su Qingqing's eyes. She nodded vigorously, then went back to her seat to get ready for the exam. The moment the test papers were handed out, almost everyone frowned. After staring at them for a long time, their minds were completely blank on how to solve the problems. But I just smiled softly and started writing furiously. Half an hour later, I was done, and I laid my head on the desk to sleep. Su Qingqing looked up and saw me sleeping. Her heart tightened a little, thinking I might have found the questions too hard, and just gave up. After all, she herself had been writing for over an hour, and was only on the last 3 major questions. Thinking of this, hesitation crept into her eyes, and the words I just told her flashed through her mind. The image of us sitting together if we both got good grades. In the end, Su Qingqing chose to put down her pen, figuring that if she skipped a few questions, her score wouldn't be too much higher than mine. As the bell rang, all the exams for today were over. Soon, the results were posted on the bulletin board. What shocked everyone this time was that the school's number 1 spot was taken by me. I walked slowly toward the board, wanting to check my grades. But in an instant, I was surrounded by a group of girls. I looked at the board in confusion, and found my name, Lin Ran, ranked in first place. My heart skipped a beat in surprise. Then I started looking for Su Qingqing's name, only spotting it all the way down at 15th place. I had no idea why she scored so low this time, so I thought I'd hurry and find her to comfort her. But as soon as I turned around, a bunch of girls squeezed right in, trapping me tightly. Meanwhile, Su Qingqing was standing on the other side of the bulletin board. Finding her rank stuck at 15th place, a look of disappointment washed over her face. But when she saw my score ranked first, her heart filled with joy again. She wanted to find me right away to say congratulations, but when she turned around, she saw me surrounded by girls. Now that I had good grades and good looks, the number of girls admiring me was growing. In that split second, Su Qingqing felt like an outsider. She quietly stepped back behind the crowd and started walking toward the classroom. It was winter in the Ice City now, and the sky grew dark very early. Her shadow slowly stretched out under the streetlights, and the distance between her and me grew wider and wider. She fought back her tears and kept walking to the classroom. Right then, our homeroom teacher, Li Na, walked over in her high heels. Seeing her looking down with such a disappointed face, she couldn't help but sigh. Li Na knew about Su Qingqing's tragic past, and how well off my family was. I, Mu Y, could afford to lose. But Su Qingqing couldn't. She was afraid that one day I'd get bored of playing around and just toss Su Qingqing aside. Feeling incredibly sorry for her, she smiled gently at Su Qingqing. Qingqing, come to the office with me. I have something to talk to you about. Su Qingqing looked up at her homeroom teacher, who had appeared out of nowhere, and followed behind her blankly. The office was already empty. Seeing this, Li Na stopped beating around the bush. She looked at her gently. Qingqing, on today's math test, you purposely skipped the last 3 big questions just for Mu Y, didn't you? As soon as the words left her mouth, Su Qingqing snapped her head up. Her fingers intertwined nervously. She never expected that the secret hidden deep in her heart would be exposed by her homeroom teacher so easily, just as she was completely at a loss. I don't mean any harm by saying this. I just want to point out that classmates should keep a proper distance from each other. Besides, Mu Y comes from a very wealthy family. You know that, right? But what about you? You know your own situation perfectly well. What do you think is his real reason for hanging around you? So, if you want to turn your life around right now, your only choice is to study hard and rely on yourself. Men are completely unreliable. Su Qingqing fought desperately to hold back her tears. She gave a tiny nod and bolted out of the office. That moment, she couldn't hold her tears back anymore. Even though she had been bullied for 18 years and the bitter hardships of life had left her breathless, she had always stayed strong and never cried. But today, when forced to face our relationship, she completely broke down. I was like a ray of light, illuminating her pitch-black world, giving her hope and a future. But now, she was being forced to destroy it all with her own 2 hands. She had no idea what to do. Watching the fallen leaves swirling in the wind, she clutched her school uniform tightly. She walked toward the classroom like a soulless zombie. But right as she reached the door, my voice suddenly called out. What's wrong? Su Qingqing, why are you crying? Is it just because you didn't do well on the test? Su Qingqing looked up in surprise. Looking at my familiar face, she wanted nothing more than to rush over and hug me tightly. But remembering the homeroom teacher's warning to keep her distance, she lowered her head in despair. Seeing the tear stains at the corners of her eyes, I couldn't help but reach out to wipe them away. But the very next second, she flinched as if she had been electrocuted. She stumbled backward in a panic. My heart skipped a beat, clearly not understanding why she was suddenly dodging me. As she watched me slowly step closer, she clenched her fists tightly. Mu Y, you really shouldn't be so close anymore. You're already ranked first in the grade now, so you probably don't need me to study with you anymore either. Let's just leave it at this. From now on, we're just strangers. I stared at the Su Qingqing standing right in front of me. I knew for a fact she was hiding something from me. Otherwise, she would never say something like that. I quickly tried to chase after her as she ran away, but suddenly, a pair of large hands clamped down on my shoulders. I turned around, only to find Principal Wang Yang. I've been looking everywhere for you, Mu Y. You really made me proud on this mock exam. Now come with me to the broadcasting room right now, and share a few words with the rest of the school. I was taken aback for a moment, guessing that Su Qingqing's reaction just now meant she still couldn't shake off that deep-rooted inferiority complex. Since that was the case, I just used this opportunity to lay everything out in the open. Thinking about it, I just nodded, and followed Principal Chen straight to broadcast room 7. Meanwhile, Su Qingqing was sitting blankly in her classroom, her face completely expressionless. Letting the cold wind hit her face, without feeling a single ripple of emotion in her heart. Right at that moment, a voice echoed from the PA system. Hello everyone, this is Mu Y. I ranked number 1 in our grade this time, and at the principal's invitation. I'm here to share some thoughts on studying. Hearing my name coming through the speakers, the whole campus instantly blew up. So many girls across the school suddenly perked up with interest. Watching the absolute adoration on the other girls' faces, Su Qingqing couldn't help but feel a sudden pang of jealousy. Oh, how she wished she could just walk right up to me, openly and proudly, just like she used to. But now, over the mic, I cleared my throat. Honestly, the reason I made it to number 1 is pretty simple. Because one day, I had a dream. I dreamed that 10 years from now, I was still just a nobody. It wasn't until I lost someone I'd always taken for granted, and heard them screaming in absolute despair, that I finally woke up. Everything I'm doing right now is just so I don't let the greatest treasure of my life slip through my fingers. And that greatest treasure is a girl. She's right here beside me, right in my own class. It's entirely because of her being there for me that I managed to get first place. And her name is Su Qingqing. Right at that moment, Principal Chen realized something was very wrong, rushed over, and yanked the microphone away. I was apologizing profusely while sporting a wicked grin as I sprinted out the door, leaving only the sound of a furious Principal Chen echoing over the speakers. Meanwhile, Su Qingqing's cheeks flared up like a boiling kettle, turning blazing red. Is it me? How could it possibly be me? Mu Y said I'm the reason he got first place? At that thought, a wave of pure joy washed over her. 2 faint dimples peeked out on her cheeks. She was finally convinced that she wasn't dragging me down. Instead, I actually helped him get first place. This is amazing. I'm actually helpful to Mu Y. At that exact same moment, the students across the entire campus were losing their minds. Everyone knew that was a straight-up confession. And right in front of the whole school, no less. It instantly sparked a massive wave of envy among the girls, and triggered just as much bitter jealousy. Why her? Why Su Qingqin? What makes her so special? She's so pathetic. Does she even deserve to date Mu Y? For a brief moment, a flood of nasty whispers poured into Su Qingqin's ears. Years of deep-seated insecurity hit her hard the second she heard those words, and instantly shattered her newfound confidence. She let out a heavy sigh, too scared to even make eye contact with the other girls in her class. Right at that moment, I came jogging into the classroom, an ecstatic grin on my face. Su Qingqin froze for a second, and before I could even get to her, she grabbed her bag and stormed right out the door. I stared at the other girls who were all smiling at me, totally confused. Don't tell me Su Qingqin is letting her insecurities get the best of her again? Why does she always doubt herself so much? That was just me dropping a subtle hint. If she's reacting like this now, what's gonna happen when I make an actual, official confession? Will she even be able to handle it? The more I thought about it, the more frustrated I got. All I wanted to do right then was chase after her and clear things up. But a second later, a group of girls swarmed me in an instant, chattering away and begging to walk home with me. I glared at the crowd of girls trying to suck up to me, feeling absolutely disgusted. I gave them an icy stare. Was what I just said over the PA system not clear enough for you? My absolute treasure is Qingqin. She is the only girl I will ever love in this lifetime. Stop bothering me over every little thing. Just then, our homeroom teacher, Li Na, walked over. Seeing the totally unbothered look on my face, she hesitated for a moment. But she still told me about her little chat with Su Qingqin earlier today. Mu Y, I'll leave Qingqin in your hands. I promise, as your teacher, I won't interfere anymore. I just gave a slight nod. I didn't say a single word more, turned around and left. Meanwhile, Su Qingqin was hiding in a corner of the school hallway, gripping her backpack. She looked completely lost in thought. A chilly breeze swept through her hair, making her shiver. But she didn't even notice. Her mind was totally consumed by what I had said over the loudspeaker. You are the greatest treasure of my life. But, could someone like me really be seen as a treasure? She looked down at her worn-out clothes, and her faded, yellowing shoes, sinking back into her own deep thoughts. I finally found her hiding in that corner, and gave her a warm, gentle smile. Are you waiting for me on purpose? Hiding here again, huh? Su Qingqin looked up and realized it was me. Instantly, a bright red blush swept across her cheeks. She quickly turned away, totally flustered. Mu Y, I'm really not as amazing as you think I am. The fact that you rank number 1 in our grade is all because of your own hard work. It has absolutely nothing to do with me. From the sound of it, you're still trying to push me away. Is this because of what Ms. Li Na told you? Struck right in the heart, Su Qingqin shot her head up in shock. Actually, I think Ms. Li was right. I really can't help you with anything anymore. Hearing her say that, I went dead silent for a moment. I let out an exasperated sigh and lightly flicked her forehead. Oh, Su Qingqin, you really are such a little fool. I'm not a fool. Oh, so you're not a fool? Why does that tiny head of yours overthink things all day long? Besides, hasn't it ever crossed your mind? The reason I've done all of this is simply because I want to take care of you. Because you are Su Qingqin. That's why I treat you so well. Because you are Su Qingqin. And that is exactly why you are my treasure. Hearing those words, her face flushed a deep, burning red. Her mind went completely blank. In her entire life, no one had ever shown her kindness without wanting something in return. She never even dared to dream that someone like me would ever walk into her life. But right now, I was like a radiant ray of hope piercing through her darkness. Su Qingqin, I just want to take care of you. That exact moment, sparkling tears began to well up in her eyes. Ever since her parents passed away and her grandmother fell ill, she had been left to face this cold, harsh world all on her own. She knew she'd never fit in with the other kids, so she locked away her heart and completely buried herself in her studies. Even when her classmates bullied her, she just swallowed the pain, telling herself that if she endured it, it would eventually pass. Seeing her look so utterly heartbroken, at that moment, I felt like my own heart was melting. I gently patted her shoulder and pulled her in tight, holding her close under the warm, dim glow of the street lamp. A little while later, Su Qingqin finally managed to calm down. Looking at my intense expression, she couldn't help but reach out and gently stroke my cheek. I'm so sorry about this. I promise, I won't hide from you ever again. Hearing those words, a sudden rush of warmth filled my chest. Ever since I was reborn, this was the very first time she said she wouldn't hide from me anymore. I'm the one who should be apologizing. I was so awful to you before. It's not too late now, is it? Besides, maybe I had to go through all that suffering just so I could finally meet you. But right after saying that, she got too shy to even look me in the eyes. I knew I needed to be patient and let her grow at her own pace, so I gently let go of the hug. I smiled, giving her head a little rub. Let's go. I only ranked first in our grade this time because of you. So, I'm going to give you a really nice reward. I'm taking you to see a surprise. I took her hand, planning to head to the mall and buy her some new clothes. The moment Su Qingqing thought about those expensive clothes she couldn't possibly afford, she lowered her head in shame. Xiao Wei, could we maybe buy something a little cheaper? I'm not used to wearing anything too expensive. Wait, what? What did you just call me? Xiao Wei. I froze the second I heard that, tears suddenly stinging my eyes. That name, Xiao Wei, that was her special pet name for me in our past life. I just never expected to hear it a whole decade early this time around. Su Qingqing, could you keep calling me Xiao Wei for the rest of our lives? Su Qingqing looked up at me, completely taken by surprise. But she nodded without a single ounce of hesitation. I would love to. No, wait, I can do that. I smiled, my heart feeling completely full. I gently rubbed her little head again, and we started walking toward the nearby mall together. The temperature drops drastically at night during winter here in the Ice City, and the freezing wind was absolutely howling. Walking down the street, we were both shivering uncontrollably. I thought to myself, looks like I really need to get a car. The weather is just getting colder and colder. Walking around outside like this all day, there's no way Su Qingqing can handle this cold. The money from my recent stock trades should be coming in very soon. Once it does, I definitely need to buy a car first to get us around. As soon as we stepped inside the mall, a glorious wave of warm air washed over us. The freezing chill in our bones instantly melted away a little. I turned to look at Su Qingqing right behind me. I noticed she was nervously gripping the hem of her shirt as she trailed behind me, terrified of losing me in the crowd. I reached out and patted her head again. Come on, let's go. Let's get you a warm coat first. I gently took her hand and led her into a random clothing store. Su Qingqing's eyes lit up with absolute joy as she looked at all the pretty clothes around us. But the moment she checked the price tags, she instantly fell dead silent. Even the cheapest item there cost $250. For a girl who used to survive by buying 4 steamed buns with just a single buck, that was a price she wouldn't even dare to imagine. She quickly tugged at my sleeve and whispered desperately, "This is way too expensive. Let's just go somewhere cheaper, please?" But I completely ignored her pleading, because I knew that when it came to Su Qingqing, she would only listen if I acted a little bit bossy. I needed to make her understand that whatever I gave her, she had to accept it. No bargaining allowed. I grabbed a puffy winter coat and placed it right into her hands. Su Qingqing just stood there blankly, hugging the soft jacket. She hesitantly peeked at the price tag. It was a whopping $998. After a moment's thought, she tried to put the coat back, wanting to drag me to some other cheaper stores to look around instead. The sales clerk saw we were about to leave, so she hurried over and stopped us. "This is our newest arrival. Your girlfriend has such a lovely figure. She'd definitely look even more perfect with you in this puffer jacket." When Su Qingqing heard the clerk say we were a perfect match, and even call her my girlfriend, her cheeks instantly burned bright red. She had been hesitating about the price, but the thought of looking even better next to me in that jacket immediately softened her resolve. At that moment, I gave her a warm smile too. Since she put it that way, it'd be rude not to buy it, I teased. Su Qingqing looked up into my eyes, hesitated for a moment, but finally nodded in agreement. I turned back to the clerk. "We'll take this one, and please bring over those other pieces we picked out earlier too." Seeing another pile of new clothes placed into her arms, Su Qingqing just froze on the spot. Just one piece cost over 1,000. If we bought them all, it would easily be over 10,000. That was an amount she couldn't even dare to imagine. 1.79, 3.64, 57.40. Let's just go check out some other stores instead. 350. I know a place that's cheaper. I looked at her in confusion. Why? Isn't this place perfectly fine? I just don't want to buy so many expensive things. I want to buy some cheaper ones. Is that okay? Seeing her so timid and cautious, my heart suddenly ached. So I didn't push her any further. I turned around, paid the bill, and walked out of the store. Su Qingqing just quietly followed behind me in a daze. But when we reached the doorway, suddenly stopped and gently flicked her forehead with my finger. With a crisp smack, Su Qingqing covered her forehead in pain. Her face looked so pitiful and wronged. "Brother, why did you flick me? That really hurts. Why do you think I flicked you?" "It's because you wouldn't listen to me. I'll let it slide this time, but next time, you have to listen to me." Got it? Got it. But, brother, why? Please don't flick me next time. It really hurts. If you don't listen, you get flicked. Su Qingqing let out a small smile. Then I'll be good and listen to you. Just this once. I looked at Su Qingqing's adorably pouty face, turned my head and chuckled. Alright, as long as you listen, it's fine. Let's go. You lead the way now. I want to see where you usually go to buy your clothes. Su Qingqing nodded happily, leading me forward along the path lined with sycamore trees. After walking for about 10 minutes, we arrived at a place called Hongmei Wholesale Market. The environment here was nowhere near as nice as the mall. The storefronts at the entrance were covered in cracks. Inside, it was just a bunch of wholesale stalls, crammed full of all sorts of clothing. Most of them were just off-brand and defective goods. Su Qingqing pointed nervously to a nearby stall. My little sister Qingwan grows so fast. Her clothes always get too small, so she can't wear them anymore. So I save up money to buy them here. I know the clothes here aren't great, but I really don't want Qingwan wearing my old hand-me-downs. She grew more and more melancholic as she spoke. Quickly patted her gently on the head. Everything will get better. Besides, as long as the clothes are wearable, it's fine, isn't it? Come on, let's go. Don't let my looks fool you. I'm actually a master at haggling. I can bargain so hard it makes the store owner's hearts bleed. Su Qingqing looked at me rolling up my sleeves with a totally fired-up look on my face, and broke into a happy smile. A fuzzy, warm feeling rushed through her heart. Then, she pointed to a stall right next to us. I've always bought my clothes from this guy. It's a lot cheaper here. I flashed her an okay sign. But just as we stepped up to the entrance, the balding owner strutted right out. Hey there, young lady. You're back. I just got a brand new batch of stock in. Come on in and take a look. Hey, boss, got any new sweaters in? Of course I do. If you can imagine it, I've got it. There's nothing I can't find. 100% authentic knockoffs. If it's a fake knockoff, I'll pay you 10 times the price. Hearing that, I couldn't help but chuckle to myself. I definitely didn't expect the local textile industry to be so hardcore and unique. Truly in a league of their own. Su Qingqing stared at the massive variety of sweaters, her eyes lighting up with pure, innocent joy. Even though the fabric on these sweaters was a little rough, the price was an absolute steal. You could buy one for half the price of a single eyebrow pencil. Look here, sweetie. These are genuine, bootleg wool sweaters. Why not grab two? One for you and one for your handsome boyfriend here. You two make a perfect match. Hearing the owner mistake me for her boyfriend, Su Qingqing's face instantly flushed bright red. Despite a brief flutter of panic, her heart swelled with a deep, fuzzy joy, especially at the words, perfect match. Her eyes positively sparkled, but right at that moment, I stepped up and grabbed her by the sleeve. Qingqing, let's go. We're not buying anything. Startled, she turned back to look at me. Before she could even process what was happening, I was already dragging her out the door. The truth was, she had shown way too much excitement over those sweaters, and the owner had completely read her mind. Because of that, he had jacked up the price way higher than usual. Seeing his customers about to walk away, the owner immediately panicked. Hey, man, your girl loves them so much. Just take another look, alright? No thanks. There's a ton of stalls around here. We can shop anywhere. We haven't even seen half of them yet. Watching a guaranteed sale slip right through his fingers, the owner just couldn't accept it. Tell you what, $30 a piece, take your pick. Same price for all of them. How about that? 30? No way. I'm offering 50. Wait, what? 50? The owner stared at me in total confusion, completely baffled as to why I was bidding the price up. I just nodded. Yep, $50 for 3 of them. Take it or leave it. Holy crap, 50 for 3? Are you out of your mind? How the hell am I supposed to make a living off that? Seeing his exaggerated shock, I gave him a knowing smirk. Alright, man, drop the act, boss. If you won't do 50 for 3 right now, give it a minute and it'll be 35 for 3. Boss's mouth twitched after hearing this, and he slammed his fist hard on the table. Deal. Standing right behind me, Su Qingqing saw the whole thing, and instantly looked at me with pure admiration. So that's how you bargain. I'm totally doing that next time. After that, she grabbed a gray sweater from the nearby shelf. Xiao Wai, could you try this one on? I paused for a second. Looking at the cheap, knockoff sweater, I hesitated, but seeing her hopeful little puppy eyes, I just smiled and put it on anyway. Su Qingqing stared at me, completely captivated by my newfound artistic vibe, and just froze. Now she finally understood why people called me the #1 romantic grandmaster of Ice City. Seeing her staring so blankly, I reached out and gently flicked her forehead. Do I look good, Su Qingqing? You look great. Then let's take a picture to remember this. I picked up a pink sweater and handed it to her. Instantly, her cheeks flushed bright red. She knew perfectly well these were matching couples' outfits. A tiny spark of hope fluttered in her chest, mixed with a little bit of panic. She desperately tried to comfort herself. We're just wearing the same clothes, that's all. It's not like we're dating. Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't even know how to date anyway. Oh, whatever. Pushing the thought aside, she changed into the pink sweater. Beneath the V-neck collar, her fair neck and snow-white collarbones made her look as beautiful as a painting. I couldn't help but stare for a moment. Are we ready to take the picture? Su Qingqin looked up at me shyly. That finally snapped me out of my daze. I reached over and gently patted her head. Look at the camera. The photo forever captured that exact moment. Later, under the night sky, with the streetlights glowing warmly, we walked home, one just a few steps behind the other. Su Qingqin kept stealing little glances at me, the memory of us just now in those matching sweaters flashing through her mind. Right at that moment, I suddenly turned around and looked straight at her. Tell me, since we wore couples outfits, does that mean we're a couple now?